Hey guys, what is going on? In this video, I'm going to explain exactly how skill-based matchmaking works in Call of Duty because yes, it is in the game and yes, it does affect which lobbies you're placed into and who ends up on your team and so forth, but it does not do it in a way that should be causing any controversy or people getting angry or demanding it be removed from the game, and that's what this video will explain. But first, just to introduce the gameplay here, I'm playing some Kill Confirmed on the USS Texas using the PPSH, and I'd say that this is probably my best game of World War II so far because I go on a huge kill streak only to have my flawless game ruined by an absolute bullshit death literally within the last couple seconds of the match. So be sure to watch till the end so you can see the travesty that I endured. But anyways, this is how the matchmaking works in Call of Duty. So when you go to search for a game and you click the game type you want, the first thing you're going to see is the number of potential games found. Now this number can be anywhere from 1 up into 80. I've seen it up in the 80s, maybe higher. But at this point, the matchmaking algorithm is doing its work and it's finding the best lobby for you based on a specific set of criteria. So first and foremost, it checks to see if you have DLC or not. If yes, it puts you into the DLC grouping. If no, it puts you into a group without DLC. After that, it sorts you into lobbies based on party size. If you have a team of, let's say, 3 people, then it will put you into a group of lobbies that currently have 9 or less players. If you're by yourself, then obviously the amount of possibilities are much higher. And if you have a full party, then it may take longer to find a lobby that has enough space. After that, it goes straight to connection, which lobbies will offer the absolute best connection for you. This is based on ping speed to the server, which means location is a big factor. Now I use the NetDoomer router and I have my geofilter set, so it only connects me to hosts that are within a certain range. Now if I turn my geofilter off, there's still a 95% chance it's going to connect me to a host within that same range. Now that alone tells me that the matchmaking parameters favor connection as a high priority. So anyways, once you are put into a lobby grouping with optimal connection, it will then start trying to find lobbies that have people who are close to your skill level, which is a good thing because the last thing you want is to get slaughtered by a bunch of highly skilled players. And I mean, if you just go ham on a bunch of noobs and then think you're some sort of COD god, then well, you're kind of just pathetic. But what we should all want is a nice stiff competition when we play. Not too easy, not too hard, and that is exactly what we get most of the time. Now on to the next part, which is the team sorting algorithm, and this is where there's a little room for frustration, but in all honesty, it's not really warranted frustration, and I'll explain why. So what ends up happening is that people who are good, or at least those who think they're good, they always seem to get put on a team with a bunch of mindless tools who don't carry their weight, while the other team is much more balanced with a mix of skilled and newbie players. Now this causes them to have to play extra hard and do all the work, and you often still end up with a loss at the end of the game. Now this is frustrating, I know, because it happens to me all the time, but in all honesty, I believe that it's my own actions that cause my teammates to perform poorly. Now I rush around, I hog kills, I steal tags, I flip spawns, I don't play as a team member, more like a lone wolf and all those sorts of things. But those are the types of things that can contribute to my teammates underperforming. Now also, if you pay attention to the scoreboard, you may have a guy on your team that's going like 3-20 or something like that, but there's most likely 1 or 2 players on the enemy team who also have abysmal scores as well. So it's kind of balanced out. Now if you think about it, let's say you're playing, we'll say team deathmatch. If you get more than 12 kills in team deathmatch, you've already taken more than your share of kills for that match. So if you were to get like 20 kills in team deathmatch, you've achieved almost a third of the score for your team, which is great. But in the grand scheme of things, you're also taking away potential kills for your teammates. So basically, if a match ends and you say, oh, I did all the work, that's because you chose to do all the work. No one forced you to go ham Rambo on anyone, It's like every kill you got after your 12th kill is taking away kills that your teammates could have earned in order for them to do their part and carry their own weight. You took the weight away from them. Now regardless of all that, the thing that matters the absolute most here is that once that game is over, the teams are rebalanced. So depending on the performances of each player, the game may swap some people from one team to the other, which means you may get better players on your team, which could deduct from your performance in the next game. But it most likely depends on whether or not you won or lost. Now the team that lost would probably be given 1 or 2 players from the other team who scored a bit higher in exchange for a couple players who scored a bit lower, thus balancing out the lobby even more. Now another thing I would like to add is that there is another algorithm in the matchmaking parameters that tries to prevent you from being put into lobbies that you have backed out of. So if you leave a lobby for whatever reason and you try to find a new one, the game is going to do its best to find a different lobby based on all of the criteria that I talked about at the beginning of the video. But there's always still a chance that it may put you back in the same lobby if a search for something else fails. But that's unlikely, since there's like millions of people online playing at any given time. But it's usually pretty easy for it to find something new for you. But all in all, to me, the most hilarious thing about this entire skill-based matchmaking controversy is people who claim to be, amazing god tier at this game, and they're constantly complaining that they're being put into lobbies with noobs, and then they blame it on skill-based matchmaking. Now just think about that for a second. If you're being matched based on skill, and everyone in your lobby is crappy, you're essentially calling yourself crappy as well. You can't complain about skill-based matchmaking and also complain about having crappy teammates at the same time without inadvertently calling yourself a crappy player as well. Anyways guys, that's it. Feel free to leave your thoughts below. Be sure to like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. But that's going to be it for me for now. I'm Vile Self. Until next time, villains. Later.